Let's practice. Hello, friends. I hope your day was beautiful. I'm bringing you a grounding session to relax the body and calm the nervous system for bed. We'll need a blanket, a bolster, and you don't see it, but under my bum there is a meditation cushion as well. I would like to start with a little prayer, both to say thanks and also to acknowledge my humble request for support and assistance. And always within my gratitude, you are in my thoughts. I value so much. It means a lot to me that you practice with me, that you trust me. So thank you. I will start this session with a short sitting practice, just to center, just to find the inner space, our own silence, sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes very safe. Not always is possible to predict which one we're going to feel. So, in that prayer, let's request for a little equanimity. Sitting with things the way they are, often not fully the way I want them to be, but if there is any energy that is really useful to bring yourself to letting the day go, allowing yourself to let the stories of the day go, is to be able to sit with it all, to be able to sit with our own dissatisfaction and the imperfection of our experiences, the imperfection of ourselves, often. And be okay with it. So start from the body, being okay with the sensations that we might feel. Especially if there is pain or soreness, or if there is a sense of stress or anxiety, it might be a bit unpleasant. And we tend to run quite quickly to see how we can make it pleasant. What would be the next move, the next hack that will allow me to feel better within my skin. In meditation, we kind of flip that around, and I teach myself to be somewhat comfortable with discomfort. I ground my attention in my posture and on my breath. We keep the back straight. We keep the shoulders open. There is some effort involved in the posture, which, if the intention is to sleep well, it doesn't matter. Even if we get a little tired, that will actually be beneficial. Let your breath rest, rather than immediately changing the rhythm or slowing it down or go into some ujjayi technique or any pranayama. Maybe that comes later, but at least in the beginning, simply let your breath rest. And after that initial moment where the breath kind of, the breath exhales, then we can slow down the breath a little bit. Longer waves of breath. If you can picture your breath as a wave moving through a graph, think of a wave that is soft in the shape and kind of stretched out. And drop your belly enough so your diaphragm can move in it. Relax your belly. It's Christmas. Shouldn't be difficult. At this time of the day, sometimes the mind is a little jumpy. There's a lot of conversations echoing through the day. But at the same time, because there is so many impressions, it's also easy to kind of let the radio run and you just take refuge in your body, in your breath. And after this little introduction, let's start with our neck. Let's release tension from the neck. Not necessarily, but if you work at a desk or in a computer, this area, the eyes, the jaws, the neck, the shoulders, they carry so much tension, so much physical tension, not even psychological tension. When you drop your head forwards, I'll start from that. Feel the heaviness of the bones of your head pulling forward. Keep your shoulders aligned, and then very heavy nose, very heavy jaws. And in order to isolate the stretch with more clarity, I sometimes place my hands behind my hips, lift the chest, really wide open the shoulders, and then as I drop the head forward, it feels very clean and very isolated as a neck stretch. From there, we can take the head to one of the shoulders. And as you feel the lengthening of the ridge that goes from the tip of the shoulder to kind of like behind the ear, this upper part of your chest, if you have the video around, you can look where I have my hand. Feel the movement that the breath creates around the collarbone, the shoulder, and how within the stretch, on the inhale, it feels a little longer. On the exhale, it feels a little shorter. So the breath gives you a pulsation within the stretch. I like that because it gives you a point of action within a passive practice. A yin practice, on an external level, it doesn't look like we're doing much. But it's the attention or the focal point and the quality of the breath what keeps us internally busy in the choice-making department. So there is an active acceptance, an active passivity. Think of the yin and yang symbol with a little dot inside the bigger dot. As you drop your head, in this case to the right, it will be the space around the left shoulder, the left collarbones, that you want to feel moving with the breath. So even here you can allow your breathing to be a little chesty at the end. Even in practice, relaxing practice, you want to favor abdominal breath, but then you also want that breath to reach the part of the body that you are stretching or working with. About 5 or 6, 8 seconds on the inhale, something like that on the exhale, or a little longer if you count the pauses in between. Maybe a breath, 15, 20 seconds brings you to a ratio of 3 or 4 breaths per minute. I'm giving you just examples, but a slower breath than your average breath. Front, left, and back. Maybe soften your jaws a little. And now what I'm doing is just to get the stretch a little further and connect it with the shoulders. If you put your hands on the floor, you create a frame with your arms and the space between the shoulders. And then from there, drop the head forward. And maybe you can add a little movement. Very soft, very gentle movement. You don't see it, but I have my mouth open entirely for this one. To move beyond the neck, towards the shoulders, I'm going to place myself on a table position on all fours. I have to move the dog a little. Place your hands on the floor, full hand, fingers spread, arms straight. I think it works better. And then drop the head, and even drop your chest, and even drop your belly. Imagine your 2 arms and your 2 legs stable and the rest of your body really soft. And then I move myself towards the right, giving more weight on the right hand, alternating, moving towards the left, giving more weight on the left hand. And as I do this, I keep my shoulder externally rotated and I lean into it, feeling the weight on the shoulder very slowly, almost as if you were hanging from the shoulder. I've done a couple of times on each side, but of course it could be done a little longer, or you could stay in the asana, and especially if you feel your shoulders very tight. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch a little bit my wrist and my forearms. When I work in the computer or in the garden, it's an area that I find we tend to forget, and over time it gets full. So one thing that I like to do is I put the fingers backwards, and then by moving, I feel the connection with each finger from one side to the other. You can apply a circular pattern, change direction. Use always the slow rhythm of your movement to inspire a slow rhythm for your breath. The dog needs to roll away. Now I need the full carpet. So once you have liberated your neck, your shoulders, maybe by opening your mouth a little bit, also your jaws, I like, if you go to child's pose and you put your forearms on the floor, I love to massage the forearm with the other one. Once again, if you are touching electronic instruments often during the day, or if you work with your hands in any way, you're a physical worker, a plumber, a carpenter, a gardener, this area gets very full. It's almost like it's suction channels from the hands to the rest of the system. We touch everything with the hands, yeah? It's an extension of our intention. But because I give shiatsu and I'm very sensitive in this area, and I use it a lot, it needs to feel free. And I have started giving this routine, placing this routine in my practice with wrist and forearm massage, and it's super nice. Especially now that I'm spending a bit more hours in the computer, it really feels useful. Try to use flesh on flesh so the bone doesn't hurt you. I think I prefer to roll, but if you have, like I do, a cotton t-shirt, it also, you can slide. And you will feel your fingers receding as you go down the arm, and then you let it go. Another thing that I really like, move your hands to your face, the heels of the hands, try to find your cheekbones. Have a look at the screen if you need to. And once you manage to release the full weight of the head on the hands, then it's a matter of alternating from one side to the other side. Little movement, but mostly playing with gravity. I'm tracing the cheekbone from the front of the face towards the ear. Open the mouth a little and get in the space between the jaws. And to the degree that is possible, with the head completely resting on the hand. It's quite normal that one side might feel more than the other. I'm trying to do most things equal amount of time on the left as on the right. I don't have a clock, so I cannot promise that it be accurate. But in my personal practice, it's not always that you stay the same in the left and in the right, because you have different needs and sensations and feelings in them, yeah? This one is a little difficult to explain, but basically I'm tracing the frame of the eye. So if you start in the corner of the eye and you find the beginning of the bone, and then I'm doing it here with the heels of the hands, but you could use your thumbs and trace the window in which the eye is placed, just underneath the eyebrows, massaging towards the third eye. And when you get there, you can put the forehead on one of your hands, really feel the heaviness of the head on that third eye point, and then maybe you can slide the head, allowing your hand to stretch upwards your forehead. If, like I do, you carry extra tension in your jaws, at the end you open the mouth and with the hands move a little the lower jaw from side to side, maybe move the head a bit. Open your mouth, tongue down, eyes up, just to get that stretch to the jaws and the lips and the tongue. And I like when I do that one to inflate my cheeks just to feel the pressure of the air inside. Almost the polar opposite. It's funny to watch. I like to release my spine several times a day, but especially morning and evening. So what I'm doing here is from the previous position, I stood up into a forward bend. You don't see it, but my knees are bent, at least in this first part. And what I really want to feel is how the weight of the head, the weight of the shoulders, the weight of the arms pulls from the spine and assist that stretching with really calm breath. Forward bends are very comfortable to breathe in. So this is a good position to slow your breath a little further. If you feel that your hamstrings can take a little stretch as well, then you can go for straight legs. But in that case, I recommend that you also straighten up your spine. In this case, in order to do that, I just place my hands on the floor, lift the chest a little, and now, yes, working on the back of the legs, I protect my lower back from over-rounding. Be patient. It's often very tempting to cut your forward bends or your down dogs or these kinds of positions short. But the spine really enjoys time. If your hamstrings soften, then you can allow the chest to drop and at the end convince your neck to relax. This often is a little difficult, yeah? In our down dogs, in our forward bends, our head comes up. So remind yourself, once again open your mouth. We have so much tension in our jaws. Open your mouth, relax your jaws, relax your breath. Even if that means that you have to exhale through the mouth a couple of times, it's okay. I am comfortable on my hips and knees to sit in this position, kneeled on my knees. If this is uncomfortable for you, either put the bolster under your hips, that could be the easiest solution, or otherwise, if it really is very comfortable, just sit. A little touch to the lower back. In this position, it's very easy to allow your lower back to fall backwards. Imagine your belly button almost penetrating your body. And then bring the weight forward. I think I saw in a video the other day, they call this a spinal wave. So just as really calm, but as much mobility as you can find in that lumbar region. And to get a little further, what I'm doing here, I place my hands on my knees. I really let my belly button sink in, falling backwards almost. And then that pushes the lower back backwards as much as possible without taxing it. Just for a moment, get that length in the lower back. Maybe see if you can fit a breath or two in there. My lower back is like my baby. Half the things I do in my practice is for her, and the other half is according to her wishes. Yeah, our pains, our injuries, they become our teachers. And next, I'm going to rest the front of the body in the bolster. So it's going to be a child's pose, but with support. If you don't feel full contact between your body and the bolster, maybe your hips don't give you enough space, just take another bolster. In this case, if you have the same setup as mine, put the blanket on top of the bolster. Because what I want with this position is the spine is resting, but I want to rest the front of the body, the trajectory of the vagus nerve, with physical contact on something. It's very reassuring. And then with the bolster fully touching from the lower abdomen to the sternum, then expand your breath. I'm going to stay here for a while, so you're going to have time to prolong your breath, expand your breath. Use the somatic point of reference that the cushion gives you to bounce the breath against it. And if you encounter in your body areas that feel nervous or tight, pressed, then move the breath in that direction. This practice, I did it a couple of days ago. I'm recording this separately. And I was feeling quite a lot of tension in the solar plexus in the first part of the practice. I'm still a little nervous in front of the camera. So I'm using this position to dissolve some of it. And if you saw now, no, you didn't see now, you're in child's pose. Halfway or so, I like to change the head in the other direction, so that I use this position as well as a way to stretch the neck. half of the posture in one direction and half of the posture in the other direction. Long inhales, calm, long exhales, full exhales, like you finish this, like you feel it's over. Like when you finish the breath, you have finished your breath. It doesn't feel like there is something more that needs to happen. When that happens, then the next inhalation comes very quick. So have the feeling that at the end of your exhales, your business is done. At the end of your exhales, your business is done. So when you call the next inhale, there is space. There's a little time for the inhale to walk into you without the sensation that is an emergency. Very tactile, the relationship with the breath, very tactile. Direct experience through the touch. We'll move out of here slowly, slowly. Take a moment maybe to sit on the bolster. And then I'm going to place the bolster to the side so I can lie down on the left side of my body, but keeping the head, or let me rephrase, keeping the spine, including the neck, more or less on a parallel line to the floor. Because otherwise the head falls down and then you have a hanging neck. Yeah? This position, once again, is amazing to breathe. You feel the pressure on each side. So when you go on the right side. When you go on the left, like I am now, on the left side, so you have this pressure from the floor to bounce your breath against. So maybe I guide your breath a little bit here. Inhale with me and exhale. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beyond this, I like to launch you a little bit, but feel very organic with your breathing. Very organic with your breathing. In the sense that it doesn't need to be a particular duration, but very responsive to what you're feeling at the moment. From the bolster, I'm going to move towards a pigeon pose. It's not just the shoulders and the neck that we carry this annoying extra tension, but often in the hips. We started to elongate the back with our forward bend. We created a little bit of space through the child's pose, even if soft. But now I want to move towards pigeon pose. I do it very gently with kind of like a mock-up position first, much easier, and with a little bit of movement. If you want to do this, simply with your hands on the floor, just shifting the weight from one hand to the other, rolling over the hip, and using the floor to massage your hip as you roll over the bone. So kind of like a little introduction, a soft introduction with a little movement and a little breath before you drop yourself into pigeon pose. This one feels intense for many of us and not necessarily super pleasant. So here you're going to need to harness your breath and be very present. Long breaths. Don't expose yourself to the irritation of a deep asana and abandon yourself in it without the support of your breath. That's just foolish. That's just taxing the body for no reason and weakening your tissues. So whenever you go to deep asana, to deep in the joint, whenever you are feeling a lot, nurture it with very calm breath. And if you don't get to call a calm breath easy, if that day or that moment, for whatever it is, the breath is broken, then don't go for deep asana. Go for softer asana. Wait until the breath comes to you. Sometimes there is a little time. It's me deciding when and how and applying technique, but it's also a bit of grace to the moment. So a lot of patience, a lot of patience. On the exhales, you might be able to drop a little extra. And at the end, I usually bring my hands back towards my legs and try to get a little deeper on the front of the right hip. Here is not so much the left hip that I'm feeling, but the right foot is pushing into the floor, and I'm trying to connect with the front of the right hip. Almost imagining that right hip bone would drop to the floor. Long breaths, slow breaths. And slowly, slowly we bring ourselves to the other side. Which in my case is easier said than done because once again I have the dog, the heavy dog. The yoga practice is working for him. So you're gonna lie down on the right side of your body, have kind of like a big pillow so you can create space for your right shoulder and your whole spine is horizontal, parallel to the floor. have a nice feeling that your head is resting its full weight on the cushion, that you're not holding back. And often you can feel this exhale after exhale, feeling that head becoming a little heavier on the cushion, while your breath explores the sensations of the right side of the body as you feel the squeeze between you and the floor. Get lost on your breath and feel every moving part once again, how it has surrendered its full weight to the ground. So your left leg is resting heavy on top of your right one. Heads, shoulders, belly. And as you pay attention to the process of relaxation of the body, keep expanding your breath. Inhale with me and exhale. Let's begin together. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, exhale. Once again, same intention as before to help you expand your breath, find a new rhythm. And then we get once again into the right hip. So here you can see better. I'm starting with a kind of like a fake pigeon pose with the knee a little bent and falling to the right hip on the right hand, the weight, and then moving the weight to the left hand, rolling over the right hip, using my own movement and the contact with the floor to massage the flesh and also get a little bit of the mobility in the joint. Just dropping some of the stickiness that sometimes we feel through the day, that we get kind of stuck in the body. So these soft organic movements will help you feel that fascia release that we hear about so much lately. And then in your own timing, in your own degree of intensity and difficulty, just move towards a pigeon pose. If your knee is sensitive, if your hips are a little tight and they don't open enough and they're pushing the stretch into the knee, under the right hip, place the bolster. Or even under the whole right thigh. And that should give enough space for the knee to not over twist. And be cautious with this. When we push deep stretches into the knee, the knees are not to play with. Or they are to play with, but they are to play with respect. That left foot that you see extended over there, I always have it a little pushed into the floor, a little bit, just to keep that connection between the left hip and the ground. Deep abdominal breath, deep abdominal breath, very calm. And as always, when you're doing floor positions, whatever part of the body is not engaged, your arms, your head, then it's resting heavy. You're paying attention to the depth of the release that you're giving to the floor. Are you holding back on the neck? Are you biting your jaws? Is one shoulder lifting up? So you are really aligning yourself with gravity, with abandonment almost. I forgot to go a little deeper on that right hip stretch. No, actually, I did not forget. My left hip is much more stiff, so it's always asking for that little extra. I did not do it on the right side because it's already naturally more open, but you can do it. A little moment in between postures is always nice, even if it's just a couple of breaths. And we're going to go into a forward bend with knees bent, like a diamond pose, or a long Baddha Konasana. Feet quite far front, heels touching, knees open to the sides. Arms resting heavy. And in this position, you have to negotiate a little bit your hips and your lower back. If you keep your back straight and you hold, you isolate the position very much on the buttocks and the hamstrings. As you let your head drop and your chest drop, your back is going to round a little and you will feel your lower back more. If you're not using force, it's not going to be dangerous, but you still have to be very attentive whenever you are allowing your back to round in forward bend positions. Very attentive to your lower back. The minute we apply force, then let's straighten the back. Applying force into forward bends with your back rounded, in my life experience, has caused me pain. But here you just abandon your upper body's weight on top of your legs. And maybe at the end you can even abandon the weight of your head. Attention to the breath. Attention through the breath into the body. Attention that is stable in nature, relaxedly stable in nature, but not so much because he's exercising a very sharp focus, but because he's relaxing as a background awareness. Like the carpet that I'm practicing on is a supportive awareness. You allow yourself to feel. There's no need to pull a particular sensation and elevate it or penetrate it unless there is pain. So you just dissolve into a general awareness. We start to come back, sometimes in stages, little resting points for the back, and at the end I like to hold on to my knees and really fall back. Almost pull a little extra so I can straighten the back, lift the chest, and once again treat the lower back, the hips, with the utmost care. From this position, I am going to fall backwards on the bolster. I don't want a deep back bend, especially not at this time in the evening. Just a resting position where the heart has space to open. So I'm doing a nice, generous position. I push a little bit the entrance of the bolster so the lumbars don't feel pain. And here you can use even the big cushions of the sofas or several blankets. The idea is to have a really pleasant, actually this one wants to be pleasant, really pleasant, heart-opening position that is restful and comfortable. So in my construction, I don't know if you saw, but at the end, I have put the cushion under the head. I find sometimes otherwise the head falls a little too much backwards. The arms are open to the sides. Sometimes it's even nice to place pillows under the arms themselves. And here is a position that if you calibrate it well and if you don't do it too intense, you can spend 10, 20 minutes easy. Very, very pleasant. The front of the body is open in this position. Your heart is open. The trajectory of the vagus nerve that before we had rested on the bolster now is open to the skies. If we have experienced emotion, discontentment, friction of any kind during the day, or stress or anxiety, we are going to feel it now. Now, here is what is really interesting. Detach the feeling from the story. Let the story go. And instead, treat the feeling with the breath. So this position for me, I become a breathing machine. In all positions, I really enjoy breathing. It's a pleasure of mine. But in this position, especially when I place it at the end of the practice, like now, or at the second part of the practice, super beautiful to breathe. Maybe start with the attention on your upper abdomen, just under your rib cage, the area of the solar plexus. Keep expanding your breath towards your lower abdomen. And if at any point you feel that you want to give yourself that satisfaction of a full breath, well, then inflate your chest and hug your heart with your lungs. The weight of the head is fully rested on the pillow. The weight of the arms are fully rested on the floor. And the legs, in this case, you see me with a hip opener simultaneously, but you could also have your legs stretched forward. At this point of the day, comfort, safety, the feeling that you are restoring already your energy, getting prepared for the night, is much more important than a stretch. Calm inhales, followed by exhales, that make you feel that peace is possible. Not because the world has become peaceful, it might be so, but because I find peace within myself and peace with the fact that my life happens in a world that is not always peaceful. And that's very important, because my desire for peace, my desire to see it materialize externally, is going to be disappointed, is going to be frustrated. It's not going to happen, or at least not always. We live in a world that is the way it is. We are the way we are. But I find peace with it, within me. And I find peace with myself. I'm not perfect, like the world, full of mistakes, full of broken parts. But that's me. I can't escape. Peace is not perfection. Peace is loving what is. And because sometimes it's very difficult in one single breath, give yourself the time. Exhale. One more round together. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale, exhale. When you finish that exhale, we are going to sandwich our practice with another sitting. This one will be easier to the degree that a sitting practice is easy. Your breath will feel more open, and so will your body. And hopefully, after 1 hour, we feel a little softer with ourselves. And not just that, but the spiritual side of you switches on. The mystical side of you switches on, especially at this time of the day. Small spaces of silence appear, intervals without thought. I also experience uncomfortable conversations, relationships, or feelings from a different perspective. From a perspective where being in discomfort, being in emotional discomfort, is not so threatening. You feel the wave of emotion moving and changing. The sensations that make it up dissolving, transforming. And the breath that coexists with that landscape of uncomfortable emotion, now it does not need to be squeezed and packed, condensed in an unsatisfactory breath. I can feel sadness, I can feel the vibration of my inner anxiety. I can feel maybe even the worry for the future, but I can feel them. And as I am able to feel them, the distance between me and them becomes apparent. The things that I feel aren't me. The things that I think aren't me. The reactions to the situations and the people that I encounter in my life aren't me. The witness becomes activated. The observer. The experiencer. Breath can be natural, maybe a little slower, but a slower rhythm that is allowed, not forced. And as you allow the breath to fall into itself and find its own sequencing, you also go through different breath landscapes. At points, it's almost like you fall through a hole and all you feel is falling, and then you land on cotton. And other times, it feels a little different. It feels like you are elevating, that you're feeling very light, almost as if we did not have a body. I am present in both. I am present in the surrender of the heaviness, of the weight, of the flesh of my body. And I am also present in the ethereal movements of mind. But what defines this moment is neither. What defines this moment is the fact that I am present. Try to be still. It helps to deal with the average discomforts that we feel in the flesh without physical drama, without constantly modifying the posture or constantly expressing our restlessness externally, but instead stillness trains us to deal with the internal restlessness without hiding it behind external actions. Because those external actions that try to hide our inner restlessness, they're actually not actions, they're reactions. I react to my own discomfort. So here, let me feel if there is discomfort, which there always is. Let me make friends with it. Quiet. With a background sense of serenity. which for me is found in the depth. If there is any place that I feel calm, that I feel grounded, is at depth. Surface most often has waves, but at depth is quiet. I bring my hands into prayer again for a little ceremonial moment. I want to send a message to Source, who I am going to visit in the night, that I am ready, that I can let go and fall on her arms, that I can trust the night and life's process and abandon all the mechanisms of control to fall into her arms. I take the chance to say thanks to life, to God, to you. And then I am going to finish the practice with a yoga nidra. If you are very close to your time to sleep, this could be straight in bed. You could take yourself now to bed and do a nice body scanning relaxation before you fall asleep. But it's nice to do it as well on the yoga mats, and then you go on with the rest of your evening chores and you brush your teeth and all that, and you go to bed. After sitting, the legs are a little full. Maybe the lower back once again. So we relax, that obvious. But then also I take myself in a journey through the body now with it placed in a complete rest position. Shoulders, neck, jaws, the inside of the head, the inside of the face. Always the center of the body, the central channel of the body, the central meridian of the body, from the back of your tongue, your chest, your upper abdomen, your guts, your genitals. If it now feels calm and soft, amazing. And if it needs a little help, you always have your breath. Hips, knees, ankles, shoulders, elbows, wrists. A feeling of landing. A feeling of, like I said before, the good kind of falling. Like you're falling and you're gonna be caught And I believe it to be true. Maybe not into every single detail and every single problem and every single challenge. Often we are not caught when we fall. But overall, I do feel so. I do feel that creation is holding us. I do feel that life nurtures us. Yeah, I don't think life makes babies to not love them. Once you have passed your attention through the entire body, maybe spend a little extra time in areas that there might be pain or discomfort, if there is any. Then I finish in the diaphragm with an inner research of almost every corner of it in detail, both during the inhale, during the exhale, the passivity in between, the deep surrendering, letting go of the diaphragmatic movement in between breaths, the breath between breaths. And then I give myself this taskless moment. Sometimes I even open my eyes a little and I forget that I have a name, and I forget that I have a passport, and I forget that I am in a place or of a certain gender or certain age. And I just be present. Be present. Be with what is, so that what is becomes me. Without friction, without resistance. Because ultimately, we need to choose. In the absence of extreme threats, it is us who need to choose if we feel safe or if we don't. So I think we can choose to feel safe for tonight. Maybe before we abandon the mat, we can have a moment on the side. Often a little reflective, but already dreaming at this point. I hope the practice proves itself to be useful. I hope you can sleep well tonight. And if for any reason you have a couple of restless hours in the night, breathe a little. Choose to be present. And choose to give yourself the satisfaction of feeling safe. At least for tonight. Thank you very much, friends. Sleep well.